Boston Celtics lose a heartbreaker. Second time in the past week, a game they should have won. This time it was against the Milwaukee Bucks on Christmas Day. We're going to recap that entire game, some of our key takeaways, and also with all the 10-day contracts going out, Mr. Isaiah Thomas has recently become available again. Let's recap that next, guys. Say good morning to the boy Chico. Alrighty, guys. Good afternoon. Late start today. Jags to Riches, James Peters, straight to it. So as you've seen in the intro, I filmed that a little earlier. I plan to actually spend the majority of this video, just speaking, recapping on the Christmas Day game. Just the box score, some of my takeaways, and I still might briefly. But just in the last couple hours, we've gotten some more devastating news, which almost seems like it's on the regular. Health and safety protocols. So I'm going to address that. Maybe I might touch on the Bucks game briefly. I was going to preview the Minnesota game. I'm just so defeated right now, to be honest with you guys. But I will, in positive note, and that'll be speaking on an Isaiah Thomas. I've been against bringing him back for quite a while now, but under all the circumstances, I almost think that the writing is on the wall for him to be returning any moment now. I think we'll get that update. So I want to get ahead of it now because I have come back around to bringing him back to the team. So right off the bat, excuse me while I transition over. You type in Boston Celtics, this is what you're going to see. Jayson Tatum has entered COVID. Jayson Tatum has entered health and safety protocols. I don't know why I'm tripping about it, but apparently you're not supposed to say this on the tube. But Tatum is in health and safety protocols, guys. He won't be playing tonight against Minnesota. This is what is, and that's Shams right there. This is right here what is absolutely mind-blowing. Tatum is the 9th Celtic on the list right now, and we've had as many as 13 under as early as last week. I mean, this is absolutely insane at this point now, guys. It is just getting to the point where, who is even dressing? You get back Brown and now you lose Tatum. You have Tatum, you lose Brown. You've got Schroeder, you lose Al. You get Al, you lose Rob. You lose Grant, you get Romeo. You lose. It's just, how do you even know what your team looks like? How many minutes? Let me ask you this. How many minutes or games has this roster played? Smart, Brown, Tatum, Horford, Williams, Schroeder, Richardson, Grant. Let's just say that 8-man rotation, how many, or even take Grant out and just put Richardson, Schroeder in the 5. How many games have they played together? How do you even know at this point? I just feel like it's just constantly just in survival mode right now. This team after that Christmas Day, take a deep breath. After that Christmas Day game, guys, we lost 117 to 113 against the Milwaukee Bucks, the defending champs who we were 2-0 against on the year. It was a heartbreaking game because this is the second time in the past week, just like that Sixers game where it was a late fourth quarter collapse that we should have hung on and won, showing respect to the defending champs. Giannis, with his first game back since the 12th of December, 36 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, was just absolutely phenomenal. 2-time MVP, and he showed why late. You had Middleton and Drew with 17 apiece. Drew with a huge strip late. You have Bobby Portis with a double-double off the bench with 16 and 10. And they actually got DiVincenzo coming back. Wes Matthews actually hit some big shots for them. We'll get to that in a second. It's funny. In the last episode of Trust the Podcast, shout out to Ev from Guy Boston Sports. Ev, thank you so much, brother. I've been a big fan of you for such a long time now. I appreciate. I was humbled and honored to have you and Bobby on. So thank you, brother. Shout out to you, man. Please go like and subscribe to both of their channels. But I made a comment that we may have to see both Brown and Tatum have 25 to beat them. And look, both of them scored 25, and it is a game we should have won. Jaylen Brown lost his tooth getting knocked out at a point by Jayson Tatum. You had, just look. You only had 8 people actually play. Jabari, Wancho, Peyton Pritchard getting 30. Which is a positive, don't get me wrong. But it just shows because we had Schroeder enter health and safety earlier that day, right? And it's just at a point now where, like I said, it's just... every team is going through it, but it's just... How do you know? What moves do you really make? It's just disappointing, You've been playing 500 ball for the last 2.5 years, and it's like, they're 16-7. They have a 16-win, 17-loss record right now. Play Minnesota tonight. Obviously, like I said, no Tatum. The ending to that Milwaukee Bucks game was absolutely insane. It was a third quarter woes, fourth quarter collapse, and crazy ending. Basically, Tatum gets stripped by Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday drives. He gets blocked by Rob Williams. Grant, I think, is it Hill that gets the rebound, kicks it out to Wes Matthews. Wes Matthews hits the 3 that puts them up by 1 point, 114 to 113 with 30 seconds left. No Joe Johnson, no Al-Farouq Amino. The last thing I'll say about that game is the fact that Chris Forsberg of NBC Boston made incredible, stat when he said in clutch situation, in clutch games this year, the Celtics have a record of 6 wins and 12 losses. So when I think of that, I'm thinking in those 18 games, to me, when I hear clutch games, it means that they were in the fourth quarter with a possibility to win late. A close game with a chance to win late, essentially. And out of those 18 games, they lost 12 of them. How many times have we said a few more wins one way would actually have them right back in the mix? Going on a 6-7 game run like Houston did would have them right up at the top. Jimmy Toscano from CLNS said it perfectly. These games are going to end up mattering when it comes down to it. It may not seem like it, but these 1 or 2 games, or in this case, these 12 losses, it is going to matter when you're dealing with seeding when it comes to the difference between 6th and 5th or 8th and 9th. So, just disappointed, guys. It was another game, where I get it, only 8 guys dressed. Fatigue really played a big thing, but regardless, there was a point where we led by 19 points. You know what I mean? So, you got to finish that game, the end. So basically right now, like I said, no Tatum. So it's survival mode until he gets back. Jalen's got to step up because I'm not sure when Schroeder's going to be back. So, we'll see. Smart and Brown haven't always traditionally played the best together either. So we'll see. I don't know. But moving on, guys, to brighter notes. It's funny to say that about a guy that's currently unemployed, but Isaiah Thomas was recently released by the Los Angeles Lakers. They are not going to bring him back on a second 10-day contract. Who is Isaiah Thomas? He is a Celtic legend. As short as his stint was, it was magical, and I had to say legendary. Actually getting traded to the Celtics in the 2014-2015 season. Played with us till 2016-2017, 2-time All-Star, and was actually, I think, finished 3rd in the MVP voting his last year with us. As you see right here, averaging 29 points, 6 assists. He was a spark plug that changed everything for this franchise. But let me transition over. Who is Isaiah Thomas? King in the North, Master of the Fourth, King of the Fourth, however you want to call it. This little guy is sensational and had one of the most magical, I think that's the perfect word for it, runs we've ever seen. Like I said, this man changed he changed everything for this franchise, guys. This was a team that was going straight rebuild mode, getting draft picks, getting, stocked up. They trade for this little 5', 5 point guard. I think he's really 5'8" or 5'9", whatever. But they trade for this little point guard out of Phoenix, who at that time I believe had Goran Dragic and Eric Bledsoe, so they were super heavy at the guard position. Trade for him, and immediately he's a spark plug. In his second year, I think he averaged nearly 24 points, and then you've seen that third year, nearly averaging 30, finished third in the All-Star vote, in the MVP voting, All-NBA. It was one of the most magical runs ever. Deep playoffs, lost his sister in that Washington series, heartbreaking, and then came out and had one of the most brilliant performances we've ever seen. We love Isaiah. His run was special. Obviously, it came to an end when he was traded for Kyrie Irving. As much as that sucks, everyone understood it. Kyrie, was a champion, obviously one of the best in the game, younger, and now you see how it turned out with IT. A lot of that is due to his injury, with his hip. But right now, obviously, with the state of the NBA and the 10-day hardship contracts that are given out, and I'm just going to run that back if you don't mind. Why not? And with the 10-day hardship contracts that are being given out, right? All of the people that are in health and safety protocol, Tatum just went. The injuries, it's just insane when you got to think they only played 8 against the Bucks, and Tatum was one of them. And those guys all were running heavy minutes, right? So Joe Johnson, Al-Farouq Amino is two of the bigger names that have been among the contracts that are signed. But right now, the Celtics need somebody to score points. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in his first game with the Lakers, he scored 19, I believe. And then I think that second game, it was another game like 13 or 14 points. So that is what we need. Let's bring IT in, guys. Put him on a 10-day contract and just see what happens, Brad. Why not? Give this city something. We're hovering right around 500. We're obviously injured. We're just in survival mode. You've seen how special Joe Johnson's little 2 points was. Isaiah Thomas is actually somebody that, can come in and actually contribute. Now, I get it. Peyton and his development, and I'm huge on that. But you've got Schroeder, who's in health and safety. Everyone is in protocol at this point. So it's kind of just like a why not? You know what I mean? Peyton gets 30. I guarantee if they signed IT, he could still get 20 minutes at this point. They're not dressing that many people. So I think you bring him in on a 10-day contract, see how it goes, especially with Tatum now in protocol. You bring him in because he's somebody that can get buckets. You've been seeing what he was doing even in the G League. Like I said, his first NBA action, he scored nearly 20. So bring him in, give him a shot. Why not? Let's see what happens. And I really do think that it's inevitable that this move will happen because the Lakers did not bring him back. And I would say he's as popular a name as you could find right now with this 10-day hardship, and as good of a player when you really think of what's out there, because he's a guy that should be in the NBA already, guys. Let's be honest. Now, the reason I've been against bringing IT back for the longest, I love Isaiah Thomas. I love his run in Boston. I am so thankful. I think that he single-handedly changed the direction from a rebuild to a contender. Now, obviously, it's kind of, biting us a little bit now, but we won't get too deep into that. But I didn't want to see him come back because I didn't want to see that legacy or anything get tarnished. You know what I mean? I didn't want to see him come back and just ride the bench and be like, competing for the 12th, 13th man on the roster. I didn't want to see that, But I'm at the point now where I think the Celtics at some point will be trading Schroeder. I'm hoping that they do it to actually get back some front court depth. And that would really open the door for Peyton Pritchard to step into that secondary role as a primary backup point guard. And then IT could be that number 3. You know what I mean? Just that spark plug, scoring points, shooting some life and some energy into the franchise. Why not? At this point, it's kind of like a why not? Especially if it's only on a 10-day. Because at any point, if it's not working, you just don't sign them back. Just keep signing them to these 10 days, guys. And for me, that's pretty much it. I won't take up too much more of your time. We got Minnesota coming up tonight. It's going to be curious to even see what the roster looks like. Shout out to LeBron James breaking Kobe Bryant's Christmas Day record. Recent news about Ben Simmons possibly going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think that is extremely interesting because they really do have a lot of assets to offer. And it'd be curious, him on that team, especially it'd probably be, I'm very curious to if they would get Garland back. I would almost imagine, but if not, I mean, you're talking about what? Ben Simmons, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and then Philly probably getting back like Darius Garland, Cedi Osman. So there's some rumors, starting to swirl about that. Oh, and by the way, y'all remember I said that this is a video that I could literally make every single day. Check this out. You type in his name again. 8 hours ago. You see it right here. Damian Lillard lands with the Boston Celtics in the latest ESPN mega deal. Celtics, Damian Lillard in Boston. So it's swirling again, guys. But I already have that video right here. Where am I at? So let me see. Bing, check that video out right there. Actually, this video, with the exception of my 2 MMA UFC live reaction videos, this Dame Lillard reaction video is the most views I've ever received. So thank you to everyone that's actually been tuning in. Trust the Podcast episode 10 will be coming up sometime later this week. It'll be the final episode of the year. We'll be announcing some of the big things that we'll be bringing into the podcast starting in 2022. Much love and respect to my co-host, Be Smooth, to all the guests that we've had on, John Corrales, by Ev, with Guy Boston, Bobby Manning, Adam Taylor. Much love and respect, gentlemen. Celtics, come on guys, let's go get a huge win tonight, because you're only talking Timberwolves tonight, then we've got the Clippers, and then the final game of the year is going to be Friday against the Suns. I mean, so tonight is let's get back to 500 tonight, especially the Clippers. No Paul George, no Kawhi Leonard. We might be able to get back-to-back wins here, go back up and be 18 and 17 going into the Phoenix game. Let's finish this year off strong, guys. Jags to riches, James Peters, thank you so much for your time, guys. Have an incredible conclusion to your day.